We've been taking a look at ways to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, ways found back in 2018 by the New England Patriots. We've analyzed that game, and by the Los Angeles Rams, that 54-51 Monday night thriller that was played in 2018. And today we look at a Week 15 clash from that season between the two divisional rivals vying for first place. It's Week 15, and it's the 10-3 Los Angeles Chargers at the 11-2 Kansas City Chiefs. We just mentioned the two games that the Chiefs had lost, and we looked at those games last week. And, of course, the Chargers had already that season lost their opener to the Chiefs at home, or what passes for home games at the soccer stadium. They had also lost at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to the Rams. And, of course, some team from Denver had knocked them off as well, and that loss was keeping the Chargers out of first place, or at least a share of first place going into that game in Week 15. And it was a game in which the Chargers were at their absolute best. I think if you go back maybe to 2007 when the Chargers were in the AFC Championship game with Phillip Rivers in his fourth year, this was as good a game as the Los Angeles Chargers, once the San Diego Chargers, of course, have played maybe in the Phillip Rivers era, because the Chiefs are up 14-0 at the quarter, 14-7 at halftime, and leading 21-14 going to the fourth quarter. But the Chargers come up big and win the game in the final 4 minutes. Justin Jackson's 3-yard touchdown run makes it 28-21. Then Mike Williams draws them to within a point on a 1-yard pass from Phillip Rivers. And how about the Chargers' moxie in going for two and converting on a Rivers pass to Mike Williams with 4 seconds to go? The Chargers weren't playing for overtime. And again, we go back to our theme, and I'll let you get more specific about this. In order to beat the Chiefs, you have to be aggressive. Don't just settle for overtime. Go for the win and attack their vulnerable defense.
Absolutely, Sandy. And I'll tell you this. Towards the end of that game, it's just funny to me because you look at the Chargers had the ball. It's under 2 minutes, and
right,
they get a little lucky on a 4th and 8 completion to Travis Benjamin, and the ball is thrown absolutely perfectly. And Travis knows he's going to get hit in that situation, but he's able to pull down that ball, especially an undersized receiver. So huge play right there. But then you also get a little bit more lucky later on where there's a pass interference in the back of the end zone with Mike Williams and one of the DBs for Kansas City. And honestly, I've watched it probably 10 times, Sandy, and I thought that play could have went either way. It could have been offensive pass interference or defensive pass interference, but it was called defensive pass interference. So that sets you up for a 1st and goal situation in there. And it looks like the Chargers then run the same play 2 times in a row on Mike Williams, for one to score the touchdown and the second to get the 2-point conversion. So you got to be able to make your plays. And when you're looking in this crunch time, your defense has to be able to step up and create some kind of stops at some point during the games when you play against Kansas City. And that's what the Chargers did. Late in the game, they had a heck of a stop in order to get the ball back. When they're running out of timeouts, they're running out of time, but the defense was able to do their job. Another thing that I think is very important when playing against the Chiefs is to utilize your running back. He has to be successful not only in the run game, but he has to be a valuable option in the passing game coming out the backfield. And that's going to be able to, when you check down to your running back and he's able to get out of bounds or he's able to go get those tough yards, that just keeps the chains moving. So you got to have a guy that's not going to catch the ball, not going to drop the ball. He's very sure-handed, and I think this is the flavor of the game, or the flavor of the day, or the flavor of it. Whenever you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to hit Patrick Mahomes early and often. You have to get him off their spot. Now, the Chargers didn't get a lot of sacks in this game.
No.
But there was a lot of guys. There was a lot of traffic, guys diving at his legs, where he knew that guys were there. and he couldn't hold on to that ball. And you have to do that as early as possible, but it cannot go away throughout the course of the game. You got to continue to be aggressive, continue to blitz. And what I saw the Chargers do, they weren't afraid to play man-to-man coverage. They knew
Right.
that KC has the speed and at the wide receiver position and has the big tight end with Travis Kelce, but in certain situations they were going to blitz and they were just now trying to get to Patrick Mahomes. And I think that really worked and helped them out in the long run in order to be able to win this game, especially with the last series that defense is out there and being able to get that stop.
Well, your points are so well made because Phillip Rivers did not have a great statistical game. Played a little like Locke played for Denver in an average game last year in December. Good numbers, but hardly great. 26 of 38 for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Phillip Rivers takes sacks. 5 times he was sacked in the game, but for only 25 yards in losses. The Chiefs were penalized 10 times. So, again, the Chiefs have to beat themselves a little bit. And, I look back on the last 5 years, Kansas City, could so easily be 30-0 inside this division. They lost to the Broncos on a Jamal Charles fumble late in the game in 2015 in Week 2 on a Thursday night in Kansas City. They had the game in the bag for the first 58 minutes. They basically controlled the game, and the Broncos rallied in the final 2 minutes to tie and finally to win the game. And then they lost a game to the Raiders, in which they had a series of pass interference calls, one right after another, late in the game that kept giving the Raiders, with no time left on the clock, all these extra plays. And the Raiders finally converted and won a very tight game. Same thing with the Chargers, who got some breaks, and we have to be honest about it. To beat Kansas City, at least if you're the Chargers or the Raiders or the Broncos, you have to get a little bit lucky. To get a little bit lucky.
There's some luck involved for sure.
Yes, absolutely. But spreading the ball out, 7 different receivers. You just talked about Locke finding a lot of different receivers to throw to in his starts last year. Here's Rivers throwing to Jackson, Newsome, Williams, Benjamin, Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams, Antonio Gates, and our old friend Virgil Green. All caught passes.
Keenan Allen as well saw some action, but I think Keenan gets banged up, but that's another target, right?
Yeah, he's banged up. Melvin Gordon's not involved. So you have actually Mahomes having the better statistical game, but here's the key. Travis Kelce, yes, he catches 7 passes, but only 61 yards, no touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 4 catches, 46 yards, no touchdowns.
And that's another
Travis
thing.
Kelce's big play is a 16-yarder. Tyreek Hill catches 1 for 33, but the 3 others only go for 13 yards.
And they try to go over the top
guys,
with
Kelce and Hill, get contained.
Yeah, and they try to go over the top with, and that's another luck thing, right? Where they try to go over the top with Tyreek Hill, and he has those DBs beat, and he just flat out drops the ball in the end zone.
Right.
So
gotta be lucky.
Gotta have some luck. You got to be able to go out there and do your job and do what you're meant to do out there. But yeah, it just so happens that when the ball does bounce your way, and you got to be able to capitalize on those situations, those luck plays. And when you talk about them being so strong in the division, and you look at the losses that they have sustained in this division over the last couple of years, those other teams got lucky, and that's just exactly what it is with the Jamal Charles fumble. That's luck, I mean, when you're thinking that, hey, you've worked this situation so much in practice with the running back, stay in bounds in the 4-minute drill, cover it up with 2 hands. That you can't give it back in that situation. But the Broncos were able to get that, and then you look at with the Raiders and the penalties, and you're just improving your field position, and getting another shot, and finally dialing one up and being able to score that touchdown and winning that football game. And the exact same thing with this Chargers game as well. There was a little bit of luck, but there's also guys battling their butts off in order to stay competitive and keep that score as close as it was to have that opportunity late in the game to win a football game.